everyone, welcome to my channel Culinary Passion Palette Stories. So here I am today to show you some easy recipe for the lockdown. I'm not going to show you any kind of extravagant recipes which would require too many ingredients. So as you know, it's very difficult to get ingredients in this lockdown. So I'll show you something very easy. So today's recipe, I'll show you two ways of making dal dhokli. So let's begin. Here I have taken tur dal. So here I'm going to take 1 cup of tur dal. So here you go. This is 1 cup of tur dal. You need not you need not soak it for long. I'll just wash it in a minute and then put it inside the pressure cooker. Now that the lentils are washed, I'm going to put them inside the pressure cooker for cooking. Now that the tur dal is added with the water, cook the tur dal with salt. So here I'll add about a teaspoon of salt with half a teaspoon of turmeric powder, ya haldi, and what I prefer to do sometimes whenever I cook the dal is to add in 1 or 2 teaspoons of. Now that the dal ingredients are all added, I'm going to set it for boiling and I'll pressure cook this for about 3 to 4 whistles. So let me just shut the pressure cooker now. So now friends, the dal is nicely cooked. I'll show it to you. Dal is nicely cooked, and what I've done is I've blended it with the churner, and now I'll keep this aside in a little bit of oil, about 2 tablespoons of oil. To this I'll add in a little bit of ghee. This is about 3 teaspoons of ghee. Oil is heated up. Begin with add mustard seeds. Let it splutter. Once it starts spluttering, add a small teaspoon of jeera. Once the jeera is nice and slightly brown, add the onions. Here I've taken 1 medium-sized onion. Let it fry for about a minute. About 2 to 3 green chilies. I'm taking a nice scoop of 1 teaspoon of ginger garlic paste. Fry it well. I can smell the lovely aroma of the ginger garlic and the onions. It's frying very nicely. Now is the time to add tomatoes. So here you need to take about 2 medium-sized tomatoes. Now add some salt. So remember, while we were cooking the dal, we've already put the salt. So add accordingly. I'm just putting about 1.5 teaspoons. A little bit of turmeric powder because we've already added turmeric to the dal. I'm just adding very little. Two small teaspoons of chili powder. Two small teaspoons of dhania powder. Fry until the masala raw smell is gone. Now is the time to add in some sugar. So yes friends, this dal is going to be slightly sour and sweet and a little bit of spicy. So here I'm adding 2.5 teaspoons of sugar. Now is the time to add in the sour ingredient. So what is that? I have here some tamarind juice. So this I'm going to add it to this mixture to make it a little sweet, sour, spicy, salty. So let me add about 5 to 6 teaspoons of this tamarind juice. After it comes to a nice boil, I will now add in the dal. Just stir it well. I'll leave it to boil. Once it comes to a little bit of boil, I'm going to keep it aside. And then we'll proceed to making the dhoklis. This has now come to a boil. Now I'll keep this aside. I've turned off the gas and now we'll proceed to making the dhoklis. Now that the dal is cooking, I'll start to make the dhokli. So for that, what we would need over here is 1 cup of wheat flour and half a cup of besan, to this I'm going to add salt, 1 teaspoon of salt, a little bit of turmeric powder, and then chili powder as per taste, dhania powder 1 teaspoon, a little bit of ajwain, amchur powder or dry mango powder. This is very little as per taste. Here I'm adding a small teaspoon of amchur powder, a little bit of garam masala, again not too much, just a small teaspoonful, and a little bit of chopped coriander. So this is mixed. Now you can gradually add water and knead it to a soft dough. Now that the dough is kneaded, I'm going to just add in a little bit of oil. Just take a very little bit of oil, drizzle it on the dough, and just knead it once again. Just roll the dough. Since you've added the oil. I've added the oil, rolled the dough in the oil, and now I'm gonna keep this aside. Now let's start making the dhokli. I'll take the dough that I just kneaded. Let me show it to you. This is the dough that I just set aside. I'm just gonna rub my hands on some dry dough, and this is nicely become soft. I'm just gonna take in a nice big ball of the dough. This much is more than enough right now. And the rest of the dough I will keep it aside for the second method of the dhokli. So let me just keep this in the dry flour and I'll keep this dough aside. Just roll the dough nicely in the dry flour so that it doesn't stick. Now with the help of the rolling pin, we'll just roll it, just like a chapati. In case if it sticks, do use the dry flour. The dough tends to be a little sticky. That's because of the besan that we've added. But remember, besan adds a lovely flavor to the dhokli. I'm going to just roll it enough so that it's not too thick. Okay, so just see the thickness should be only this much, not very thin, not very thick. Okay, now this is done. What I'm going to do is cut it into thin strips. Now you can use a knife or you can use a pizza cutter and cut thin strips . Okay, so now that the strips are cut, we can move on to the next step. Now this is the dal that I've kept it for boiling. The dhoklis that we had cut into thin strips, I'll add it into the dal that is boiling. Now remember friends, don't put the dhoklis in normal dal. The dal has to be boiling while you put the dhoklis inside. So here I have the strips of the dhokli. I'm going to slowly put it into the dal. Just give it a nice move like that and allow this dal to boil for another 5 to 10 minutes. This is because the strips of dhokli that you have put needs to be cooked. So that will be cooked in the dal that is boiling. I'm just gradually gonna push the dhoklis inside so that it is nicely cooked in the dal. So make a note, I'm not mixing the dal from the middle, I'm just mixing it from the corners so that my dhokli that I've just put in remains intact. So friends, this is nothing but, I would say, a desi version of a pasta. Just joking. What I would do now is just cover it up and leave it to boil in simmer for about 5 to 10. While this is boiling, I'll show you how to make the second method of the dhokli. Now for the second method of the dhokli, I've boiled one potato. I'll just mash it with the help of a fork. Salt. Remember not to add too much of salt because the dough already has salt in it. Just a little bit so that it doesn't taste bland. Here I've taken just 1 small teaspoon of salt, little bit of haldi, turmeric powder, little bit of chili powder, which is, here I'm taking just 1 teaspoon, 1 small teaspoon, and some coriander. Now that the mixture is nicely mixed and the potato is mashed, I'll keep this aside and roll out the dhokli for the second method. Take some oil on your hand, very little oil. Grease your hand, and then this potato mixture that you had mashed and added all the masalas, I'm going to make small balls out of this. So there you go. I made small little balls of the potato mixture. And now we'll move on to the next step. Now take the small dough balls and roll it. Okay. Now that this is done, what you're going to do is put the small potato ball that you had made in the center and fold it just like how you would fold a modak. There you go. There you go. It's a lovely small modak. So now friends, the dumplings, the stuffed dumplings are ready. I had divided the dal into 2 portions. One portion I put in the strips of the dhoklis, and the other portion I kept it to show you all the stuffed dhokli. There you go. So all the dumplings are now in the dal. So like we did for the strips of the dhoklis, we are going to let this dumpling boil in the dal for another 5 to 10 minutes. Now friends, as you see, the dumpling dhokli or the stuffed dal dhokli is ready, and the dal dhokli, the stripped dal dhokli is ready. So let me just show it to you. There you see, it's wonderfully cooked and it's a wholesome one pot meal. This can be eaten as is, or you can have it with jeera rice or just plain steamed rice. I call it the desi pasta. Now let me show you the stuffed dumpling. So there you go. It's wonderfully cooked and it's steaming hot. There you go. Yes, it's steaming hot. This also is a one pot wholesome meal, and you can have it as is. When you don't feel like making rice or rotis, you can have it as is, or you can have it with jeera rice or plain steamed rice. Enjoy, and don't forget to like, subscribe and share my recipes. Do let me know your comments as to how you like this recipe, and if you tried it out, how did it turn out to be. I'm all ears. Bye bye.